morning! So many folks in chat ready to rock. I love that this has become a thing, that everyone is asking each other, in fact, if they are ready to rock for these challenges. This is wonderful. But good morning again, everyone. My name is Voodoo Val, and I am here on this lovely Thursday morning to host the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. Very pumped about today's challenge. It's going to be super cool. We're going to dive into a little bit of the 3D capabilities in Photoshop, which I'm super excited about. But before we jump in to what we're doing today, I do want to call attention to the fact that I am just the very first stream for this day. There's going to be a whole bunch of other design segments coming up after my stream this morning, so please stay tuned, stick around, chat with people in chat, meet all the other guests and awesome challenges that we have lined up for you throughout the day, participate in chat to win giveaways and all kinds of super awesome stuff. This is just the beginning, everyone. I see so many familiar faces in chat: Ralph, Don, Marcella, Marilyn, Anthony, Jason, Alexandra, Anna, Sean. It's so good to see you guys. I know Sam Peterson's in chat. I know Adobe Live is in chat. We got the original Gus bot in the chat this morning. Very excited. But let's go over how you can get involved with me if you folks are not familiar with what I'm doing today. I definitely would love for you all to participate in the challenges with me. And so all you have to do in order to do that is to go to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, which looks like this. This is our landing page. You can come down here and get a little bit of information about how to participate, how all of this works. Every day you receive a challenge, which is unlocked here on this page below. As you can see, we've already gone through these challenges. We did some retouching. We used the color replace feature. We used content aware fill. We did some compositing. We used layer masks. We did like a halftone comic book action pose sort of challenge. And yesterday we used the mixture brush. And then as you can see today, we're going to be creating some 3D text. It says design a social media banner with 3D text using Photoshop's 3D features and workspace. And it's going to be super fun. The 3D settings and 3D menus and capabilities in Photoshop are pretty extensive. There's a lot of different things that you can do. I'm sure you folks have seen some of Paul Tranny's wonderful videos and tutorials where he shows all kinds of different things. Since a lot of you I know are beginners and some of you have never opened 3D Workspace before, our little lesson today is going to be just the tip of the iceberg for 3D, but I am going to help you go from not knowing how to use 3D and Photoshop at all to creating a project really quickly with those features. So I'm super excited about it. If you don't have time to do the challenge along with me, or maybe you're watching from the future right now, you've come to YouTube or to Adobe Live much later than we actually did this live broadcast, and you are wondering, well, how in the heck do I access that landing page if this was several weeks ago? If you still go to the same page and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you will see all of these past challenges. So maybe for you right now, my challenge that we are doing today is probably listed down here. This is where you'll be able to access it. You'll still be able to get all of the little descriptions of what we're doing. You'll get all of the links to the videos in order to watch me do a demonstration of our challenges before you start doing yours. And you will also get a download link to any assets or digital files that I have made readily available for you for the challenge. There's no assets for this one today because everyone's going to be creating their own assets and making their own challenge entries from scratch. However, if you folks want to do your challenges and then share files and share techniques and stuff in the Discord later on, you definitely can. And you can do that by hitting this Join Us button in the Chat with the Community segment at the bottom there, and it will take you to Discord, which looks like this. I'm going to jump over into the Discord. And I'm gonna switch myself over here. I really want to highlight some of these fabulous challenges that have come in because honestly, I was super blown away by what you guys have done throughout the last couple of weeks. And the mixer brush challenge, I think a lot of people really resonated with that because we got some super cool submissions for these. So I see Ken Crawley has come in. This is super, super cool. This is very unique too. Look, he used the mixer brush and made this silhouette of this cat and made it look like 3D neon. That is so cool. Very, very unique. Carrie's got her challenge in here. This looks like an awesome like Halloween graphic. I see that mixer brush swirl happening in there. And I like the noise texture here, and I love this font, looking very cool. Little nice addition with the witch flying on the broom in the back. Super October. And these, like, Leah Michael, this is so good. I love how this mixer stroke is like almost very, not quite flat, but still very unique. Very cool. We've got this excellent font here with the flowish word created by, I believe, yeah, also Leah Michael. Very, very cool. Leah Michael or Leah Mitchell, or Leah Michelle. Please forgive me if I butchered that name. I apologize. We've got this nice master one here from EM, which looks super cool. I like this kind of jagged texture font you got going on here. Looking good. This Stay Dope from Jazz looks awesome. I love that green color, and I love the neon that you've added to the wood in the back. And then we've got this one from Mir that I was just blown away by. Like, this is not even exactly what I showed in the video yesterday. I was doing the mixer brush around some text, and Mir created like a cool abstract collage of text underwater, and it's just very cool. I love that you've created this thing and made it your own. Again, Andres has shared his DCC project on Behance, so you folks could totally share your Behances with all of the entries that you've done thus far, because we definitely want to be giving each other appreciations and leaving each other comments on those. But there are so many good ones. Bachmore's did an excellent job. Yesua did an excellent job. Siva did another super cool abstract one that is just so neat. We got some really excellent ones from Claire Louise. We got this super cool one from Tan. Like, you guys went crazy and you guys outdid yourselves, and there's so many more awesome ones. I urge all of you guys to jump into the Discord to check out all of these. I've given you folks some feedback, and I'll be giving more feedback later on, but well done everyone. Thank you for participating. But without further ado, let's jump in to today's challenge, because I want to make sure that we have time to get through all of this stuff. So I'm going to page down here all of these, and I've got my Photoshop open, and what I'm gonna do real quick, I'm gonna make a banner. I've got this this blank canvas created here, and it's 2 times the size of like the standard 1080 by 1920 or 1920 by 1080. You guys can make your banner however large or small you want, and you can also make it to any aspect ratio you want for whatever social media outlet you are creating this for. I might even hit C on my keyboard and kind of crop that a little bit so it's a little wider, which is cool. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit T on my keyboard, and I'm gonna type out a word here to turn into a 3D object. So I'm gonna hit the text key there, and I'm just gonna write Photoshop. Very original. And then I'm gonna say Control T. Also, you notice that I clicked that layer over here just to sort of set that text. So if you do Control T before you do that, you might be adding T's into your text region here, which you don't want. So make sure that you are out of the text editing situation there before you start transforming and stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and make that like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little box here that will open my 3D space. And if you don't see this box on your Photoshop layout, all you have to do is come up here to Window. In fact, this works for if you can't find something in Photoshop, if you've accidentally closed a panel or you've accidentally rearranged your workspace or whatever, all you have to do is come to Window and select from the panels here, and you can just hit this 3D thing, and that will open up the 3D panel here. Now today we're going to work with the 3D extrusion, and there's a lot of different sources that you can set here. You can set a source from like a work path if you've created a path. You can select current selection. So if you make a selection, for example, if I just grab my marquee tool here, maybe a rectangle marquee, and I just select like part of this here, and then I say create, it will actually make oops, hold on. Let me actually make a new layer before I do all of that. Control Shift in for a new layer, and then I have my selection. And then if we hit create there, boom, there we go. So I've made kind of a square shape from my selection, which is not exactly what we want for today. We do want to do the text extrusion, which you can select here, just either selected layer, or you can upload a file. If you have a file that you would prefer to make a 3D object, you can do file, but we're gonna go to selected layers, and I'm just gonna hit Control D and make sure that we're selected on that text, and then I'm gonna hit create. Now, once I'm in this 3D space and I have this all 3D'd up, which I don't think is the appropriate term for it, but that's what I say. You can actually see I have got this little cursor here where I can be moving things around. If you're familiar with 3D programs, maybe you've used some other things in the past, maybe you're into Cinema 4D or ZBrush or whatever, then you probably recognize these little this little axis here with all of these different settings, and I urge you to kind of experiment here. It'll tell you what these do if you hover over it. You can say scale along X if you want. You can do like a scale along Y if you want, or scale along the X axis. You can rotate around the X axis, and you can also see there's different parts of these little sticks here, so that you can, if you don't want to scale, you can also just move it along that axis if you only click that little arrow pointer, which is cool. So you can pretty much play around in here and make this look however you want. And what I want to do personally is just make like a nice front-facing view of this piece. And then another thing you can do is you can move the light source. So you can see that we have a light source here. It's casting a shadow on the bottom. But what I would like to do is start moving that light source maybe forward, because I want this to look 3D, but I don't want the shadow underneath. That's not going to work for my personal project. So I'm going to rotate this thing. You notice all I had to do was just click that infinite light, and I'm going to rotate this forward so that it's basically in front, basically where I'm sitting, you know, facing this Photoshop text, because that gives it that 3D look. Doesn't cast that shadow on the bottom because the light is not above my 3D piece here, and I'm good with that. That's gonna work for me. I can't wait to see like how you guys sort of alter things and create it. Maybe you want the shadow under yours, maybe you don't, but I'm gonna go ahead and you could either rasterize this or create a smart object. Typically what I do when I'm working in 3D is I leave that layer exactly how it is, just in case I want to come back and edit that 3D piece again. And I just say Control J, and then I turn it into a smart object. So now I have this smart object that is totally transparent. It's very nice. In fact, if I make a new layer, if I go Control Shift in between these two layers, and I maybe grab a brush, and let's grab like a hard brush, and let's turn this to a different color so that you guys can see for the sake of this demonstration. If I paint back here, it's totally transparent. So it's just like a really nice graphic to work with. So I'm going to delete that. And then if I come back to my file, my 3D file here, then I will be able to edit my layer again if I want to. But for now, I'm going to hide my 3D thing here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this cool graphic that I've made. So I think I'm going to go into my hue and saturation with Control U, and I'm going to bring this down here so that you guys can see it. There's a lot of different ways to edit color. You folks, if you were here when we did like the first few challenges, we did like color replace and all kinds of cool things at the beginning. To recolor pieces. This is another way that you can do it, just editing the hue and saturation, just dragging that slider left and right, however you like. I think I'm going to turn it to like a pink color, and I think I'm going to desaturate it a little bit, and then I'm going to bump up the lightness. Maybe I'll actually saturate. I don't want too much saturation. I think I'm gonna do like that. That's pretty cool. Or maybe I will saturate it a little bit more because I don't want it like too crazy. And then what I can do also, if I want to edit things, is I can say maybe Control L to bring up my layers or my levels panel, and I can edit my levels because I kind of want it to be like very subtle in this white background. You guys might not like this look of everything being super subtle. You guys can decide at your own leisure what you would prefer for yours. I almost kind of like having that bright part there, like disappearing into the white background. Like I kind of think that's really cool. And you know what I might do, because I kind of lose this O and I kind of lose this P. Maybe I'm going to transform this. I'm going to rotate it like that. And maybe I'll add a stroke to this. That's the same color as the shadow here. So I'm going to double click this to pull up my layer styles. I'm going to come over to stroke and I'm going to sample this color. So that my stroke really blends in super nicely with that. And I can change the stroke of this if I want, but I think I actually really like it being thin like that. And I'm going to say, okay. So that looks pretty cool, right? So I got this cool little 3D word, and I have cleaned up the edges with that stroke so that it looks very nice. And then what you can do after this is start adding in textures. You guys know I'm a huge fan of throwing textures into my piece just to give it a little more grit or a little more personality instead of just leaving something plain. However, if you prefer to leave something a little more plain, super clean and sleek and minimal, maybe you're into flat design, that's totally cool too. I actually kind of like the idea of using Photoshop's 3D capabilities to make flat design. That's hilarious to me. So go for it if that's what you want to do. But I think what I am going to do is grab, I've got this noise texture here that I'm going to drag in, and I'm going to resize this. I'm holding Alt, by the way, as I'm dragging in from the corner. And then I'm going to situate that right there just to make sure it takes up my whole canvas. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to throw this on a blending mode. So I'm going to zoom in here so we can see how this is working. And I'm going to come up here to my blending modes. And if you're on a Mac, you can actually do like the blending mode previews now. You can just scroll down here until you find one you want, and it will live preview for you. Or if you're on a PC like I am, you can actually just click that. And as long as that box for your blending modes is highlighted, you can actually cycle through with your arrow keys up and down, which is cool. I really like this this screen because it leaves it essentially exactly how I had it, but it gives it that subtle texture, though I might flip through a few more just to see if there's other ones I like. That overlay is actually really nice, and so is that soft light, which I expected those would be some pretty good ones to use. Excuse me. And you guys can kind of figure out what you prefer. I think I might actually go back to, let's look at the overlay one. I think I'm gonna go back to screen. And I hope it's not too light. Maybe I will go to overlay just for those of you who might have a hard time seeing this. You guys can check it out. I'll leave it on soft light. But I just have like this cool graphic, this word that I can use for a banner. Maybe if I was going to use this for example, something like Twitter, at this point I would do something like this. I would grab my, my text and I would say, let's see, I would write my Twitter handle out. Maybe I would choose a secondary font, however, because I like having like the big fancy font there and then choosing another font that's maybe a little more simple. Please don't judge my choice of fonts at the moment because I'm just choosing something. Maybe not something super thin, but I just need something to put in the space here. These are definitely not the fonts that I would choose if I had the time to spend making this very nice. But I would, you know, grab a little font and put that in there. Maybe I'll make it the same color or maybe a slightly darker color than my big banner here. And I would do that a few times. I would put like my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, something like that, you know, and have my social media kind of lined up and do something like that. And then I would put that on my YouTube, my Twitter, my Facebook. Maybe you guys can use this to do your Behance banners, because we have Behance banners now, which is super fun. So that's how you can create a super cool graphic without doing, you know, maybe like using the pen tool or making paths or things like that. It's a cool way you can use 3D to make an interesting text effect, and you can do this with all kinds of things. Remember, I told you there's different ways that you can sample and make 3D stuff. You can do paths, you can do selections, you can upload a file if you prefer, or you can just make 3D items and objects out of what is on your layer. So if you would prefer not to do text, maybe you would prefer to draw something instead. Maybe you'd prefer to use shapes and make shapes and extrude those shapes. You can do that as well. So I can't wait to see what you guys make. What I'm going to do real quick is I am going to Control-Shift-S and save this as a JPEG because we have to put this on Behance and we have to put it on Discord. So I'm going to say save. I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to come over to Behance. Let's pull that up. I'm going to click on my profile here. Remember to edit our previous challenges or previous projects. You want to hover over that gear and hit edit. And I'm going to scroll down here through all of the awesome challenges that we have done in the last couple weeks. I can't believe we're coming up on the end of our challenge pretty soon. Tomorrow's the last challenge of this round. And I'm going to put this in here for challenge 8. I'm going to make that bold. I'm going to center it. I'm going to call this 3D tools. With a 3. There we go. Boom. And then right under here, I'm going to say, here is the banner I made with the help of Photoshop 3D tools. Boom. And then under here, I am going to go ahead and upload that image that we just saved. I'm actually going to, I actually have an image too of the 3D workspace with a font in it. So I might upload that too, just like as an example, because remember, we want to give a lot of context to people who have not seen us work on our piece. That's always good to do whenever you're uploading to Behance. So I'm going to hit save. And actually, I'm going to bump these in because I prefer to bump them in. There we go, save. And so while that's saving, I'm also going to pull open the Discord, and I'm gonna hit that little plus button on the chat bar there, and I am going to navigate to the file again. I'm gonna grab my piece, and I'm gonna say, here is my entry for today's challenge. Boom. And there you have it, folks. That is my brief, tiny little snippet of 3D capability within Photoshop. I can't wait to see what you guys make. I appreciate you all joining me for today, and please stay tuned for the rest of the day because there are more awesome design segments coming up after me. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and happy designing, everyone. I'll see you later. Adios.